everybody's still kind of dealing with this issue of career versus wealth. So I'm still getting a lot of questions that are career related, and nobody seems to really sort of be able to grasp the difference between career as a question and wealth as a question. So I'm going to recap this point, taking into account the questions that were actually asked to me. Okay, so first of all, some people wrote to me and said, look, of course, career is related to wealth, because if you can't get into, or rather, if your career job is not correct, you cannot get optimum wealth. Now that is putting the cart before the horse, okay? Because the presumption is that there is optimal wealth. There's no such thing. Unless your chart is very good wealth-wise, okay, which we hardly talk about those because those kind of people don't usually have wealth problems, right? Okay. Unless your chart falls in the category of exceptional wealth, typically it's somewhere in the middle, so not too bad, but not great, right? Okay. In which case, the career is less significant for the simple reason that most of the time when somebody comes around to you and says, I've got problems with money, or, I want to do this with my job, I want to do that with my job, and then the money question comes incidentally, right? Okay. It's too late. All right. You can't pivot their career. They're stuck in it. All right. They're looking to just change jobs. All right. So the money question has nothing to do with the job. The money question has to do with the nature of the remuneration rather than the job itself. Okay. So here's the problem with human beings, right? Because we are complex by nature. If you tell a person that they have to get a job which has a certain type of remuneration model, you potentially risk the situation where this person then has to do something that they don't like. Okay, so then you're in this catch-22 situation because they don't like what you're proposing. Okay, now this is the right model for them, but they don't like it. So you're stuck in this situation where you're trying to basically nudge them across the line on a money point, but in their mind, you're nudging them across the line on a career or job related point, right? Okay, when actually they're very, very, very different. Okay, so like, people send me these charts and say, oh, this person doesn't know if she should do A, B, or C. That is not the correct question when it comes to money. The correct question is, should this person take a job? One, okay, or not, which is the different scenario in the chart. If the chart supports, for example, a self-employed scenario. If the chart doesn't support a self-employed scenario, you are down the path of employment, full stop, okay? So that kills off the first point. All right, if a person says, should I start my own business, for example, okay, then they're asking you, can I be an entrepreneur or should I take a job, okay? So that somewhat has a career impact, but it is a more a hidden money question, okay? Now, let's assume then that this person is already in a job. And then, the question becomes, oh, they cannot hold a job, or, oh, they can't seem to stick to their job or whatever, right? Okay, has nothing to do with money. Has everything to do with other things, personality, nature of the person, right? Lack of motivation to work, whatever it is. It has nothing to do with money, okay? It has nothing to do with their decision whether or not to work job A or job B, right? Okay, if they are consistently changing jobs, okay? It has to do with something else, all right? Now, if you then talk about instances where someone is a housewife, because this is a very, how do we put it? Trying to find a politically correct word to say. It's kind of a moot point, okay? Now, whenever housewives come to me and talk about money, I'm like, there's no thing coming in, right? And whatever household money your husband gives you doesn't count as in. That is not meant for you. That's meant for whatever, your children's day-to-day needs, the household food budget, the household grocery bill, right? Okay. Unless you happen to be in that very exceptional category of I'll call it housewife, of married women, okay, who have a personal allowance. So your husband pays you a salary to be his wife, believe it or not. Okay, so some of you may have encountered individuals like that, some of you may not, right? Okay, but I've only encountered one in my very relatively short existence in social society, right? Okay, which was a lady whose husband actually paid her money as a salary to be a wife, and that money was for her to spend personally on whatever she wanted: hair, clothes, makeup, pedicure, manicure, spa, lunch with her girlfriends, whatever, right? There was a separate budget that went to grocery bills. So if you want to think of it as credit cards, there's a household credit card and there is a personal credit card. Okay, so if you're in that kind of scenario, then yes, you have your own money, and then there is a discussion of, okay, well, how do I make the best use of it, right? Okay, but the reality is, if a housewife has no income, literally income coming in, okay, this discussion about money is a little bit moot. Okay, it's a little bit moot because, first of all, they only can work with what they have, and what they have can never really grow that much unless they invested in some, I don't know, Bitcoin in the last 2 years, right? Okay, but most housewives won't do that. It's too scary, right? Okay, so you're really, really talking about people with very limited instances. Okay, so again, it's very challenging to discuss things like work, or not work, but money with a housewife unless this person is somehow independently wealthy and is very actively managing their own money. Okay, so we're talking about someone who is I don't know, comes from money, or heiress in her own right, happens to be married, and so has time to devote to her investments, right? Okay, but if you're an actual housewife, then there are real questions about whether or not you can really get very far, and whether or not you want to tackle these kinds of cases, because these kinds of cases are quite challenging. And they're challenging not because the people are challenging, they are challenging because it's very difficult to generate a decent idea for them, because everything is cannot. It's like, and also they have a finite amount of money, right? A person who's working in theory can keep adding to their pile, right? Every month they work to get a salary, right? Okay, so with the housewife, you're always in a chicken and egg scenario. It's like, but you have no job, therefore you have no money. Oh, but I have some money. Oh, but this money doesn't grow. But this money doesn't grow because you're not adding to it. It just goes round and round. Very difficult to deal with, right? Okay, so my first piece of advice also in the matter of what you should do is, you probably should not do those kinds of cases right now. They are very difficult to do. They're very difficult to provide good advice to, right? Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. Okay, now, I hope that clarifies everybody's mindset difference between the issue of how the job is not related to the money most of the time.